Hi there, guys. Now, just giving you a quick run through of risk assessment, right? Now, the upcoming coaching sessions usually come from a key question I get from someone or something else that's happening in the market. Now, this one is comes from one of our clients in New York, and unfortunately, it's like 2 a.m. for them. So it's not ideal, but they'll be watching the video. And I thought, well, this is worthwhile because the same sort of thing is probably happening across the board. Now, let me run you through this. Now, this isn't meant to be a long-winded session at all. It's more to the point. If you've got any questions, let's answer those and then move forward, put it into play. All right. Now, what am I talking about? Risk assessment. Don't waste time assessing the wrong things. All right. So one thing that you want to be doing when you are looking at the market now, if I when I come to the market, say I haven't been in front of the screens for 4 or 5 hours, or it's the morning or evening, I'll do a quick walk through of what's happening. Now, this isn't really risk assessment, right? This is where I'm actually just having a look at the news, seeing if there's any updates. I'll first of all probably have a look across the currencies and I'll be like, wow, okay, Euro's up about 20 ticks. Sterling's come back to life. It's all over the place, and Aussie's starting to cruise topside. Like I'm just sort of looking what's going on. And from when I looked at the markets 6, 7, 8 hours ago, they are starting to progress as I thought, right? And we are starting to see dollar Swiss getting close. So things are looking good. But at this stage, I'm just looking, right? I'm just having a look around the market. I'll be like checking the US bond yields, going, oh, yeah, they haven't moved much. That's good. They're pretty steady. I can see the equity markets risk on day, and that is turning up on the currencies. Got euro, sterling, Aussie, Kiwi going up, the dollar going down. Right. So I've got a situation here where we've got a risk on profile. Now that's all I need to be looking at when I have a look across the major instruments. And I've had a look. But when it comes to actually looking, you don't need to sort of go deeper. And what I mean by that is when we are having a look, okay, whether it's so I'll use the live trade signals as an example, right? So with the signals, I would encourage you to use your knowledge of the market to sort of verify the signal itself. See what's happening. See if everything's lining up. Now, things are lining up quite nicely because you got euro and dollar Swiss here, right? Unfortunately, that they are at opposite ends of where we need them, but they are moving in the right direction. This is something very good. Now, obviously, sterling's not part of that equation. Well, not at the moment anyway. And that's just due to the sort of isolated economic circumstances surrounding the UK at the moment. Now, but what I would be looking for, and even if I'm looking at the Aussie, right, is just checking out what's going on. When I come to risk assessment, I'm starting when I see an opportunity and I see it lining up and it looking good. Now I start to sort of switch on. Now I don't need to go searching. If I'm looking at the Aussie dollar here, I don't need to go crazy through everything. Actually, let me just, whilst I'm there, let me just go through euro because this is, to me, euro and dollar Swiss shaping up to be a couple of nice trades. Now, euro. So I will just go into euro. I don't need to go across all the majors. As far as initial risk assessment, if I'm looking at euro and it's going up, right, or dollar Swiss, which is going down, then I'll have a quick look to see if all the correlating pairs are lining up. And I can see sterling is. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's good. Yeah, all looks good. I'll reassess the trend lines. Now that sterling's higher, I'll probably just bring this trend line up. Um, I mean, we did have that other high over here. Let me just get rid of that. So this is the sort of first step of the risk assessment. Is actually just readjusting your trend lines to fit in with where they are, where the current market activity is. Okay, so and with that adjustment, using this high in sterling, you can see it looks very similar to euro, right? You're like, okay, this looks. I'm feeling a bit more confident about that. The and I'll just out of habit, I will adjust any trend lines that aren't lined up at the moment. So Now let's get into euro. Like I'm happy with the correlations. That's all I need to see. Now what I would be doing is deep diving into the euro, just having a look at what it's doing across the board. Now, euro Aussie has been coming off. Euro Kiwis come off a fair way. Euro yen sideways. Um, Euro sterling, well, down and it's starting to pick itself up off the floor. Euro Swiss sideways and Euro CAD. You know what? If I just clean those trend lines up, it'll look largely sideways as well, right? Now that we've got some new highs, some new lows, like the markets have just been getting beaten up in sideways trading. Now, and you would sort of really tidy up some of these other trend lines here as well, and using this recent high. Okay, so what I'm doing at this point by redrawing the trend lines is basically reassessing where momentum may shift and change. Um, and that's an important aspect as far as when I start to lean towards putting a trade on, I need to start thinking about the whole risk assessment scenario, right? So now like I'm looking across the crosses here, right? And what we can look at, let me just get this one on the spot. Come on. Okay, so just wanted to make sure I just was redrawing the trend lines for you, so you can sort of see, the process of redrawing trend lines, adjusting things. You don't need to go and start from the very beginning. And Metastock can be a little bit temperamental with those levels. Here, you could go to the bottom. I like to sort of just go to where it's been so you can see where the choppy price action is. Now, I can see very clearly what's happening here on euro across the board. Right now, with the assessment, I'm focusing on euro, so I don't need to go around and check everything out. I need to have a look here. Now, just having a look at the signals as we go. You've got euro. I like dollar Swiss. They work as a pair. Euro Aussie, it's bearish. Euro sterling bullish. Euro CAD bullish. Euro yen bullish. So I'm looking for signals. Now, if I get a signal that lines up with the actual move, that's when I'll sort of dig a bit deeper and just go and make sure that everything's in the right place. And then as an extra point of assessment, is there any economic numbers coming out that I need to be aware of? So it's a pretty quick process, right? What I'm not doing is say I'm looking at euro and I'm looking to get long. I'm waiting. I can see it's in the wrong part of the as far as momentum goes. Now that doesn't mean it doesn't keep going up, but this is where I would go. Okay, it's in the sell zone. Now, can I find? Is there economic numbers coming out that will push euro higher? You got ECB Lane speaking. Speeches are hard to sort of work with. If I just come across, go to the next day, or not next day, sort of the next time frame. You got a whole bunch of US numbers here, right? So this is where, as I mentioned this morning, industrial production numbers and the non-manufacturing numbers come into play, right? Sometimes called the services PMI, right? These things are going to help me with this euro trade. So, but they're not coming out anytime, in the next couple of hours. So I've got a bit of time. So as far as risk assessment, there's nothing to really unsettle the trade. Now, with those coming up, assessing this, I would go in and say, well, I don't like the fact that it's massively overbought at the moment. Okay. And this is the crosses, right? So I'm not really focusing on the crosses. I just wanted to show you how you can just go straight into a cross. And if you like one in particular, then you could go straight into your template and get the cross up. In this case, the actual cross is the major, euro against the US dollar. So I can do a quick cross analysis, hourly, daily, get these things lined up. I can draw trend lines, really work out where everything is. And of course, that doesn't jump on the right spot. Let me just show you how to get this on the right spot. One way you can do it, obviously, if you blow it up into a bigger chart, it's easier. You can also use the zoom in function. But So I've got euro going up here, right? And it's broken higher. Now, on a long-term time frame, I don't really need to move this trend line. What I'm really looking for is make sure it's above the bull bear pivot line. It is overall long-term trading sideways. It's not quite overbought yet, and that can take a couple of days to get through that. This is the situation where if it's looking a little bit overbought on the owl on the dailies, I'm not too concerned, but I am with the owlies, right? That'll be enough to hold me off until the US numbers come out. So all I'm doing is assessing the risk. The trend lines tell us where momentum may shift very quickly. Now, would I draw a trend line from the top here to the most recent level? Not necessarily, right? But what I would do is, if I can just get that to jump on that spot again. Okay, is have a look at where the previous high was. Now, this is where, to me, this is where horizontal trend lines come into play. Okay, they're not like you don't just draw them every day. I'm looking at the say the previous highs here, and if I just come back, okay, so you know what? Since well, it's not a long term time away. November. I mean, I can click on that, say November the 17th, 16th, somewhere around there. That's been a high since then, right? So, you know what? Since we don't have any real trend lines in play, that's when a previous high can act as not really act as support or resistance, but tells you it's more of a pivot point potentially, right? Especially with that double top close to this level. Now, that may see as far as risk goes or a potential move, you see a break of that pivot line, that's when you may see euro really start to accelerate, right? At the moment, it's massively overbought, right? So assessing the risk of a decent move here, it may go, but there's no data to really drive it. It's going to be momentum driven, and this may actually stall until we get the US numbers. So,
Uh, Brad, can I ask a
so with
question?
this, right, the what I'm not doing is I'm not going into every release trying to work out what's moving. I'm not looking for anything else. I'll have a look at the correlating pairs, right? So if I have a look at the calendar and I'm looking through, I'm going, yeah, euro. Well, sterling may have an impact on euro. It's not at the moment. We've got euro numbers, got US numbers, right? So you're just looking across the board at the initial things that may move euro, right? I don't need to go in and see, is there any Aussie numbers coming out? Is there any Kiwi? Is there anything else coming out? Like unless it's Swiss or euro related, I'm not too interested. All right. So that's where you don't want to waste your time. Like all I've done just then is assess euro, right? Okay. What's going on
Brad,
here? I don't need to Um, I don't need to, go through and see what's going on everything. Like I'm not going to go into the yen and see what's going on there. If I'm looking at euro, I'm not going to go into CAD or Kiwi or Aussie. I just need to know that they're actually moving in the same direction, and that's enough, right? So with your so you can save yourself endless hours because if you do get and just using the signals again, if you do get a good signal coming up here and I'm just looking at euro, then what you want to be doing is really sitting back and just focus on that. Go through the bits and pieces that you're looking for. Don't waste time going through everything else, right? Unless you've seen something that actually looks good. Otherwise, when you get into like as I said at the start, when you come back to the screens, you're looking at the news. You might see something that might get your interest. Um, you might see a shift in the bond yields, and you might see something exciting over here. That's when you're going to go into start digging into a currency. Then you get into the risk assessment process. So don't think the first your analysis isn't the risk assessment, right? Because it's not. When we come back into euro and we're looking at euro here, once we get it all assessed as going, yeah, this thing could be going up. I've got a horizontal trend line here coming into play. Now, what is this? What is the risk of this thing going up here? Is there really a chance of it to hold, or is it so overbought that you know what, this is actually probably going to pull back? Wait for the US numbers to come out. They come out weak, then we get the actual uh, go ahead to hit the button and start trading euro.
Brad,
So, yeah. So
Brad,
anyway,
can you,
so have you got any questions there?
Brad, this Earl here,
G'day, Earl.
just specifically on the Euro US. Look,
Yep.
serendipitously, I'm actually in the trade at the moment. I did a trendline break. I'm actually up about 32 points at the moment.
Nice.
Um, Given what you've just said, and look, when those announcements come out, I won't lie, I'll be asleep. Um, Using the exercise that you've just gone through, then I'm actually making some decent money here. Do I exit now or just let it run? What's the
You would, yeah. At the worst case scenario for you right now, I just see dollar Swiss sort of breaking down there is, um, have it move to break even, right?
which is done? Yeah.
Yeah, that's you know what, if you're going to sleep, right? All things being equal, when an instrument starts trending, the data all trends, right? So the US numbers have all been pretty weak, on
Mm.
the weaker side. So to me, it's worth a logical, well, I wouldn't say gamble, but a logical way to keep the position open is to go, well, you know what? How can I stay in the position? Would be to give you ease, to allow you to sleep, would be to just move it to break even.
Yeah.
How many points are you? About 35 points in the cash at the moment, Earl? Is that right?
Yeah, and the stops are, 3 4 pips in the money sort of stuff.
Okay, so um, now, just before you go to sleep, right? This is where you
Mhm.
can actually have a look, right? We've already sort of had a quick look at the calendar, right? And you can sort of see what numbers are coming out. You got some, it's a bit of euro bits and pieces, but really to me the US numbers are probably the sort of key aspect of it. Um, and they're sort of in the middle of the night, right? So what I would be doing is you got a number of hours, and it's well worth
Mm.
leaving this thing on because the market is moving. Now,
Mm.
what I would say is even looking at this sort of trend line here, you could actually just move your stop loss your above your entry to say be 12 points below the trend line, right?
Yep.
the like the one aspect, and also is you could take partial profit and let some of it go. That's not a bad idea as well, considering that it is overbought at the moment, massively overbought. Now, as I said, this doesn't mean it doesn't keep going up, but the what you want to do when you're trying to build capital is keep the train going. Now, one easy way is move your stop loss to break even and maybe take half the position off the table because you know what, you've assessed the risk here and there's a decent amount of risk in the sense that it is going to come off because it's massively overbought. So you've got half the trade in play,
Mhm.
and then you take half the cash off the table before you go to sleep or before you turn the screens off. Now that'll give you the luxury, and like all we're trying to do is make sure, say the trade goes back down, you've already tapped in half the cash, and you the other half, well, it's at break even. You haven't lost anything. If you're in a case where you're trying to build capital, then if you actually go put all your eggs in the one basket and go, you know what, I'm just going to move it to break even, and then it goes down, it's almost like a losing trade, even though you haven't lost money.
Yes.
Okay. And that happens a lot. And I've seen, we've got a couple of traders who trade quite large who hit break even 7 times out of 10. Now, I've been saying to them for some time, like, just take profit, even if it's 30 points. Just get used to locking in some cash. So
Mm.
one key aspect, one key question here, Earl, would be sort of, are you in this sort of initial building capital phase? Or
Yes.
okay, well, in that case there, I would almost go, you know what? You've got to be objective and think, well, okay, so this thing's sort of technically higher, starting to go up. It's showing signs, but it is overbought. What would I do here if I didn't have a euro position? Right? That's where you can sort of come in and go, well, it's a hard one, right? Because you've got a position that is, and this isn't like an epic trend line by any stretch. Let me just roll this back a touch. I mean, it's, oh, I don't when it does that. There we go. Okay. So see this trend line, it's got basically two touches. It's just broken through on the third one, right? And we've got that horizontal trend line. Um, that could be deceiving you a little bit, but if you're in a building capital phase and you're not sure, this is a scenario where, that is the only trend line really we've got to sort of work with, that recent high, because otherwise that was over here and you can see where it's peaked up. This situation here, you might even think, well, if it can get above, you might have a look at this and go, you know what, if it can get above 55 here, 116.55, I'll give it a chance to run. And that's where you keep half the position on. Right
Mm.
now, it's sort of stalling at 116, sort of 50, 55. There's nothing coming out that's going to change it. If there's any sort of numbers, this is where the numbers can really help you out, right? Because if you get say, a euro employment or inflation number right now, you're like, oh, this gives us the answer because it's either going to give us some momentum topside or downside. And then you can make some decisions. But
Mm.
I get this asked a lot by a lot of traders. Brad, what do you think? I'm actually long, and I'll use this as an example. Not that you've done this, but I'm like, you're long. First thing I'll go, are you in this sort of initial capital building phase, which is 0 to sort of 10%? And they go, yes, I am. Well, if you're asking me and you're not sure, the answer is take profit, lock in the cash. Now, that's not a bad idea. Like if you're like be objective, yeah, you'd be like, well, it's massively overbought at the moment, yeah. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to take profit and then look to reload again on a dip lower, right? Now, to me, euro is going up. If we got slightly stronger US numbers, all that's going to do is slightly push it down. These aren't US numbers that are going to change the trend. It might give us a chance to get into the trade at a better level, right? Where everything does line up, right? And what I mean by that is ideally we have it in this sort of scenario as it is going higher, and then we're cooking with gas. We're breaking trend lines. We're coming out of an oversold situation. You've got momentum on your side. This trade, I would say, Earl, hold on to the trade.
Yep.
Okay. Because you've got everything going for you. Like, there's nothing to worry about. The only worry about is waking up tomorrow, right? Because you want to see where it is tomorrow. And that's all that I would be sort of thinking of. Whoops, lost my screen there. Yeah. So just risk assessment. Ask
Yep.
yourself, like, to me, it wouldn't be much. If I'm 0 to 10%, I'm in the cash 30 odd points. There's data out in about 5 hours, 6 hours, and it's massively overbought. The chance is this thing just drifts lower. You know what? So I'm out. I've assessed the risk of the trade, and all things being equal, I haven't got the perfect setup right now. So you've actually cashed in the trade. You've done a good job, right? You identified the opportunity. You held on to the position, and that's what we're looking for, right? So, and all you want to be doing is, to me, is looking to get long euro on dips, right? And when it gets to situations where it doesn't look like it might have momentum to keep going just at the moment, that's when I would assess the risk of that and just either to close out the trade or not. And one key aspect of assessing the risk is just looking at the numbers, trying to be objective and just having a look going, okay, right, what do we got? Yes, no. Well, there's some things coming out of some PMI numbers there. I mean, they're not, I wouldn't have those red. And then, I mean, French, the German ones you'd have a look at. I mean, there's a few different things. That's all you can do. So with that risk assessment, once again, you just focus on what you're looking at. There's no need to go digging around and going, oh my God, is euro going to keep going? I better go and assess the risk of sterling. It's like, forget it. That's a different thing. It's just doing the same sort of thing. There's no need to go in and start digging around, having a look at all the levels. Now, one thing you would know as you trade a bit more, you would know that sterling, euro, Aussie, Kiwi, these things trade as a pack, right? And the ones at the top trade as a pack as well. Swiss, yen, and CAD, just because the way they're traded. So if you see they're all moving the same way, you're like, that just gives you confidence to really zoom into the one you're looking at, right? Which in your case, early is euro.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's pretty much it. Like I didn't want to sort of overcomplicate things, but what I'm sort of saying is when you come back to the screens, you have a look around, you're having a bit of a fiddle, you look at your charts, you go, oh, I like that. Or the interest may come from just finding a good signal that lines up. Then that's where you just go and investigate that and then focus on that trade. Don't worry about the global market and what's happening everywhere else. You do have a quick look around and just assess the risk of your trade and put it on or not, is what I should be saying. Okay, makes
Okay.
sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Earl. Daniel, I think you're in the gym.
Yeah, yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, really good. I'm just doing bench press benching at the moment.
What are you
Yeah.
benching there, mate? 150 kilos?
I'm, I'm doing dumbbells, 37 Ks. Yeah, 32, 37 with the dumbbells.
All right, mate. Good on you. Anyway, we'll talk later in the week. We'll get you set up. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. I'll get this
Thank
up on
you.
the coaching sessions page, and if you guys have more questions too, like the best you can actually direct what we're going to be doing. I'll add some stuff to the Discord because I want you guys to tell me what you want to know, right? I've got a lot of details inside my head, but I just sometimes may not think of the exact same things that you guys are. And while we're sort of talking there, Earl, just see that little cheeky little stop run there and dollar
Mm.
Swiss dip down to like oh 06. It's just straight back up. That's a
Yeah.
bit smelly, right? That's potentially moving back into the range. Anyway, hope that helped you, Earl. Thanks,
Thank
Danny.
you.
We'll catch you later. Cheerio.
Thank you.